Sound clear?
Many dangers, toils, and snares I have already come. 'Twas grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, with numberless days to sing your praise, than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see.
Thank you. As I came down here, I started to sing in my vocals, but the VP said he'll give me a 2-minute notice and get me off of campus. So, good morning. Thank you so much for participating today with us in this important observance. My name is Luis Sotero Rodriguez, and I am the Director of the Veteran Affairs Military Department. I am also a U.S. Army combat veteran. Many of us reflect on this day on how it affected us and affected the world. I'm sure everyone here has been asked the infamous question, where were you that day? I remember where I was that day. As I was working the logistics to this event, I realized that 20 years ago today, I was in Afghanistan joining the operation during Freedom 03 to 04. I was a young sergeant leading troops to hostile territories. Needless to say, I saw some action. At the same time, I'm more than proud to have served in military service. I'm also grateful to have the opportunity to continue to serve our Lehman College veterans as they come home from their service to our great country post 9/11. One of the many things you do learn while you're in the military is to continue mission. And we will continue mission. We will continue to We will continue to compassionately honor and remember the individuals who passed away on September 11th, 2001 in the terrorist attacks on America, as well as those who were injured during the attacks, and the many who rose in response to the attacks. The first responders, the volunteers, rescue and recovery workers, uniform and safety personnel, and the hundreds of thousands of others who serve or have served in our armed forces here at home or overseas. Today, as we come together to observe and commemorate, never forget those who gave their all, those who have given, and those who will continue to give. Thank you. I'm going to bring up now the VP of Student Affairs, Dr. Jermaine Wright.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Jermaine Wright, and I serve as the Vice President of Student Affairs. Welcome once again to the Lehman 9/11 Memorial Event. On this day, September 11th, 22 years ago, I was an undergraduate student at Binghamton University. heading to my morning class when I glanced at my roommate's television and thought they were watching a movie as the first plane hit the tower. I could not believe that it was real until I got word that classes were canceled and I could not reach my loved ones in New York City. 22 years ago, the nation was stunned as our strength, resilience was tested when a calculated attack on the U.S. soil led to many loss of lives. Today, we remember not the heinous acts committed, but instead, how we as a nation united and survived that moment in time. We remember those who lost lives because of the 9/11 attack. We remember those brave souls who risked their lives to save others on that fateful day. We remember the families impacted by the loss of loved ones, and in particular, we remember the Lehman College community members who lost family members and lost loved ones. We also acknowledge and thank the men and women who protect and serve in the preservation of our democracy and civil liberties here and abroad. I would also thank our veterans here at Lehman College who serve this country proudly. So today, we remember so that we will never forget. Please join me in welcoming President Delgado to the podium.
I'd like to take a moment and think about how peaceful it feels right now in this space at this time. And imagine how peaceful it would have felt in a building not that far away, going about your business at around this time. And how that peacefulness can be so dramatically interrupted. And how lives can be disrupted and destroyed. So we sit here today, this is not a celebration, this is a memoriam. It's a marker. It's a marker of an experience we all share. We share it because we were New Yorkers, or in my case, we share it because we've come to be New Yorkers. To Jermaine's point, on that fateful morning, I was listening to CDs in my car, driving on my way to Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, wondering why the exit was suddenly closed and why there were cops everywhere by a fairly innocuous 3-terminal airport that we went in and out of all the time. And I approached one of the officers and I said, "Is the airport closed?" And he looked at me incredulously and he said, "Yeah, of course." And I thought that was a weird way to respond. And I turned around and I started to drive back and I thought, well, wait a minute, something must be going on. I'm sure they'll sort it out. And I pulled into a Wyndham hotel that had a cafe and I thought I'll just get some breakfast. And I sat there looking at my BlackBerry and pulling up my computer, trying to figure out, was I going to miss my flight? And I got an email message from TWA. Yes, TWA still existed back then. And it said my flight had been delayed 3 hours. I was flying to North Carolina. And I said, okay. So I ordered coffee. I ordered an omelet. And then I pivoted in my chair. And as you find in most sports bars at hotels, I was confronted with a bank of large flat screen televisions. And that was the first moment I realized why the airport was closed. And I saw buildings that I had visited as a tourist, that I knew had people who had families, some of whom might even be related to me through family networks or friend networks. And like many of you who saw the images, went cold, went spare and pale, and could only think, oh my God. Because in that moment, not only was that moment pierced, but every moment that was to follow would be pierced. This would be our generation's collective trauma. This would be our generation's opportunity to confront the ugliness that happens when hate and distrust permeate our world. And this was an opportunity to reflect that today, people who were just going about their business suddenly no longer existed. And the reflection on the trauma for the friends and families that would be left behind still lingers 20-some years later. And we still feel the effects. All those first responders, all those volunteers, all those folks near Ground Zero who continue to suffer health and other kinds of traumas because of what they experienced or they saw. that is still with us today. So we move forward. We join the tourists who throng to One World Plaza, and we stand by the reflecting pool and we reflect. But let's also reflect on the other thing that defines us, our capacity for resilience, our capacity to overcome, and perhaps most importantly, because it sustains us the best, our capacity for love and community. Because as somebody who was living in Arizona, the most powerful images after 9/11 was of watching a city traumatized come together, express itself as one, hurt as one, and begin the long process of trying to heal as one. So this is a tragic memorial. I suspect we all wish we didn't have to do this. But as we do this, look around you. We are as one. We are as a community. We are on the path to healing and moving forward. This is the legacy of those who passed for us. This is us as our best. This is what we can be as a singular community. Let's overcome our divisions then. Let's not wallow in hate and despair. Let's honor the legacy of those who have passed and be strong in our community. Because this is not only how New York moves forward, this is how we all move forward, not as a collection of individuals, but with the strength and the power of a singular community made of many. I wish I never had to think about the speech. I wish I never had to stand before you. I wish none of you would have suffered because of 9/11, and I know many of you have. But since we're here together, let's find our strength together. Let's build a world that doesn't have to contemplate another 9/11. I thank you for being here. I thank you for being part of this community.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Khadija Diallo, and I serve as the president of student government. Faculty and staff, students, and our honored guests, Today, we gather here on this solemn occasion to remember and pay tribute to the lives lost on September 11th. As the student government president, I am deeply honored to stand before you representing our student body as we reflect on the tragic events of that fateful day. 22 years ago, our nation faced a devastating act of terrorism that shook us to our core. The world watched in disbelief as the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center crumbled. The Pentagon was attacked, and Flight 93 crashed into a field in Pennsylvania. In the aftermath of these horrific events, nearly 3,000 innocent lives were lost, and countless others were forever changed. For those of us who were too young to fully comprehend the gravity of that day when it occurred, it is essential that we remember and understand the significance of 9/11. It is our duty to ensure the memory of those who perished. It is our duty to ensure the memory of those who perished is not forgotten, and that the lessons learned from that day continue to guide us towards a brighter future. One of the most remarkable aspects of 9/11 was the day our nation came together in the face of adversity. Regardless of our differences, we united as one, bound by a common purpose, which is to heal, build, and protect the freedoms that make our nation exceptional. As a student, we carry the torch of hope into the future. We have the power to shape a world where hatred, intolerance, and violence find no fertile ground. In doing so, we honor the memory of those we lost on 9/11 and countless others who have suffered in its aftermath. Today, as we remember those lives we lost, we also honor the countless acts of heroism displayed by first responders, firefighters, police officers, and ordinary citizens who risk everything to save others. They exemplify the spirit of selflessness and resilience that define our nation. The legacy of 9/11 is not just one of tragedy, but also one of unity and resilience. It reminds us that even in our darkest hours, we can find strength in our collective spirit and the values that define us as a nation. We must never forget the sacrifices made and the lessons learned on that day. As we move forward, let us continue to stand together as a community and as a nation to champion the values of freedom, tolerance, and inclusivity. Let us reject hatred, prejudice, and violence in all their forms and work, tirelessly for a world where peace and understanding prevail. As we pay our respects, let us also renew our commitment to building a better future, one where the memory of 9/11 serves as a constant reminder of our shared humanity and the enduring strength of our nation. Thank you.
Okay, I again want to thank you guys for joining us this morning, and that concludes our event. Thank you.